you've ever had to have a confrontation with someone in your life, or if you know you need to have a confrontation with someone and you've been dreading it, this vlog is for you. A few weeks ago, I posted a video about the downsides of being a people pleaser and how I've had to really work on this trait that I have over the years. I'll link that video in the caption here. As I was putting that vlog together, I realized that there's a related topic that should also be addressed, which is the topic of confrontation. Now, when I say confrontation, I'm not necessarily talking about a big blowout fight. I'm not talking about something out of the movies where there's a big dramatic scene of someone saying exactly on their mind in front of the whole school or something. I'm talking about those awkward, challenging conversations where we have to be honest with someone who is doing something we don't like or is crossing our personal boundaries in some way. By the way, I did a whole video about boundaries, and I'll link that in the caption also. Building the skills of setting boundaries and having healthy confrontations is so important for our mental health. So let's talk about what confrontation means and how to work on it. Growing up, I did not witness healthy confrontations in my family. In my family, we just kind of shoved down how we were feeling and did not address things that were really bothering us. And that meant that if you got the silent treatment from a family member, you knew that they were mad, but it was never talked about. So as I got older, I did the same. And that meant I really dreaded having confrontations. I thought that confrontation meant that I had to get angry or someone would get mad at me, but it doesn't have to be that way. As an adult living on my own, I decided I had to learn more about this. So that's what I did. My sister is so good at this and is very good at communicating. So it's funny that she got the skills, but I did not. And I say this to reassure you that even if you don't have this skill already, it is something you can learn, and it is worth it because it will benefit you in every area of your life. So that's why I've sought out books and videos about how to have healthy confrontations, because I know that this is an important skill to have in all kinds of relationships, romantic relationships, friendships, and work relationships. And so if you want to learn more about confrontations and communication, all you have to do is educate yourself. And I hope this video is a jumping off point for you. So now that we understand what healthy confrontations are, let's go over some examples. I'm going to talk about having confrontations with people we work with, and also how Doug and I navigate this in our marriage. So let's start with the work example. Ever since college, I've hired and trained all my own caregivers. And over the years, I've had situations where I had to have tough conversations with my caregivers. Sometimes they'd be showing up late consistently, which is a big no-no for me and my busy schedule. So I had to speak up and tell them that it wasn't okay. Other times, if something wasn't going on or something was going on in their personal lives and it affected their work, I had to also say something. Or sometimes they did something a certain way and it wasn't working for me. So I had to say something again. Holding my feelings inside didn't help anyone, and it made things tense and uncomfortable when we were working. I would always wait until the last minute to have the tough conversation because I was afraid that they would get mad at me or that they wouldn't be open to what I was saying. And I also knew that it could cause defensiveness on their part. And I don't like the feeling of people being mad at me. So that goes back to my people-pleasing part of my personality and how I was raised. I like to be my caregiver's friend, and at times, I just need to remind myself that I am also an employer. And it's hard to do that because we love our caregivers and they are part of our family. And so as I've learned how to have healthy confrontations with my caregivers, I was going through college and first living on my own, but this skill became even more important after Doug and I got married. We were two very different people. We did not live together before we got married, so after our wedding, we moved in together. He'd been a bachelor living on his own for 11 years, and I'd been on my own for over 10 years. And so when you take two people who've had very different backgrounds and upbringings and have them move in together, it can be challenging. There were times when Doug would give me the silent treatment, and I would ask him, "What's wrong?" And he'd say, "Nothing." Now, I'm a communicator, so I would say, you have to tell me what's wrong. I can't fix what I don't know. I grew up with that silent treatment, and it was painful to live like that. And so over time, I've learned that every time that Doug and I have had a confrontation, which doesn't mean fight, just means a conversation, I found that I loved him more, and I felt so relieved. I felt like our marriage became stronger, and then we became closer because of it. I was learning what true healthy confrontation was. So even to this day, 10 years into our marriage, we come to each other and we say when the other person has said something that hurt our feelings, and we talk about it. And this has become the norm for us, and it keeps our marriage healthy and communication open. And I think this is so important for every relationship. So how do you go about having a healthy confrontation? In today's world, I have found that confrontations are even more tricky. So many people prefer to text or talk over a message app versus being face-to-face with someone, especially if the conversation is going to be a hard one. When caregivers have wanted to have a tough conversation with me, they tend to want to text me instead of talk to me face-to-face. And trust me, I understand the appeal of wanting to hide behind a screen, but in my experience, it's so much better to just talk face-to-face. And why is it better to talk face-to-face? I believe it's because that's the mature way to handle things, because we can read each other's feelings and it's easier to come to a resolution. With text messaging, you can misinterpret so many things. And when you're face-to-face, you can get immediate clarity based on their tone and body language. We were not created to talk through our phones. We were meant to have face-to-face interactions. And so as hard as it is, make sure your conversation is face-to-face, because it shows that you respect the other person and you value the relationship. So if you know you need to have a confrontation with someone, first find a time where you can be face-to-face. Think about what you want to say ahead of time. You could even practice in front of the mirror or with a trusted friend. When you're speaking, try not to get angry and just state exactly what's going on and how it's making you feel. One of the things I learned through confrontation is that it's often better to compliment them first. Say, I love you so much, or I love working with you and you're doing an awesome job, and then say what you need to say. It softens the situation so you're not coming out harshly saying, why are you doing this? Really build them up and be genuine about it. Say something kind first and make sure you focus on yourself and the situation and not the other person, so they do not feel personally attacked or feel defensive. Say, I'm struggling with, or I feel, instead of you're doing this. Then when they respond, try not to be defensive and make sure you listen to them. They could have some valid points in return. Now, if you find yourself on the other end of things and someone is having a confrontation with you, try to be open to what they're saying. Try not to get defensive and listen to what they have to say before you respond. It's a two-way street. We have to be willing to be open to other people's correction, and feedback. So we have to be willing to be corrected if we're going to correct others. But if you're not used to confrontation and you have that first tough conversation, it is scarier than scary. And I just want to challenge you to do it afraid. One of two things can come from it. First, you can see how good it feels afterwards to clear the air and communicate. But second, if it doesn't feel good afterwards, it allows you to think about the relationship. Is it healthy, or if it's actually toxic? In a healthy relationship, you should be able to have healthy confrontations and talk about how you feel. And if that's not possible, that's a big red flag of whether this person should still be a person you allow into your life. Sometimes we don't have the option of seeing the person such as a close family member or coworker, but it could mean that you set up more boundaries for yourself around your interactions with that person. So when it comes to healthy confrontations, remember that we teach people how to treat us. If we don't say how we feel and keep our feelings bottled up, the other person will never know what they're doing or saying is bothering us or hurting us. Confrontation is really just communication, and communication is the key to healthy relationships. We have to be intentional about the relationships we build in our lives, because human connection is at an all-time low in our world. People are feeling isolated and lonely, which can lead to depression and other mental health concerns. Because we fear confrontation so much, we unfortunately let behaviors go on for too long. And so that's why confrontation is a required skill for healthy relationships. So to finish up this topic, I've come to realize that confrontation is healthy. I have never regretted having a confrontation. Whenever it's over, I think to myself, well, that wasn't so bad. I should have done that much sooner. And the situation is always better after we have that tough talk. It takes such a load of stress and anxiety off your shoulders when you have that much needed conversation. And this will help your relationships be more healthy. So I hope this video has helped you think about a situation in your life where you can apply these tips. Remember, when you need to have a confrontation with someone, think about it as communication and setting boundaries. Thanks for listening.